So I've now had 2 PCR tests come back negative for COVID-19, which is honestly a surprising thing to me because last 2 or 3 days I've kind of felt off. Headache, nausea, lethargy, sleeping a whole bunch more than usual. Just not feeling my normal self. My strength is way down. I'm living with a COVID positive person, so I just assumed that's what's going on. So I don't know whether it's the PCRs are false. And I've also done a whole bunch of rats. They're all negative as well. So I don't really know what's going on. I mean, 5 or 6 freaking rats with 2 PCRs. Surely there's no COVID. However, the symptoms that I'm experiencing are COVID-like. So I don't really know what's going on other than I'm not feeling the greatest. So I just had to kind of decrease my workload and go from there. Today I tried to deadlift. My head is about to explode if I lift anything heavy. Stopped at a 200. And I kind of knew that was going to be the case even before I touched the barbell. So I started kind of thinking even before the session, what am I going to do to train? I can't do anything heavy. I can't do anything with, heaps of volume. So I need to kind of do something where I get blood going around because that generally kind of always makes me feel better and still there's some sort of training stimulus. So I started thinking about my beloved good mornings. Definitely was going to do a whole bunch of them. Today I did a whole bunch of bar, and then at the end of the session, I didn't show this, but I did some 40 kilos. Once again, quite light. Sets of 10. I did, I think, 5 at the end. So I did that, and then I thought, okay, so if I can't hit the deadlift and squat like I wanted to, let's start thinking about what's the most kind of smartest thing I can do to address both of these, maybe the weakness aspect of both of these movements. The good morning is basically the squat and the deadlift sorted right there in terms of the lower body and the posterior chain at least. Really addresses everything perfectly. So I did a whole volume on that. And the other thing which I'm missing out on from the deadlift is the upper body side of strength, which is specifically the lats and the traps. So then I thought, okay, why don't I do some pull-ups? I've had lots of recommendations from you guys about doing pull-ups, chin-ups, anything like that. It's far better than bicep curls, which I wholeheartedly agree. But what I've kind of justified my decisions as was I don't want to do pull-ups or chin-ups because I do a lot of frequency. I'll do a high frequency of deadlifts, and deadlifts tax my upper back. That's kind of be my thing. I don't want to over hit them. But now that the deadlift I'm working with like 70-80% of my max. I can't handle weight, so I thought maybe today is a really good idea to do some pull-ups. So I started thinking about last night and earlier this morning, started thinking about, okay, what type of pull-up do I want to do? Originally, I've always kind of loved the whole wide pull-up, thinking that it hits more lats. The thing with that, I've kind of realized is that, yeah, sure, it hits kind of, it biases the lats more, but it also has quite poor range of motion, and that kind of wide grip pull-up doesn't really carry over, at least in form wise, to what I'm trying to do with the deadlift, and that's kind of to flex my lats and keep the bar really close to my body. So I thought, what can I do which mimics that? Well, automatically I thought I got to keep my elbows in, and I have to have a range of motion where I go from extended arm to a flexed arm. So basically, I want to bring that elbow from near my ear all the way down my side. And do I go under or over grip? I think both of those options are poor when your hands are really close together. Either you are doing chin-ups, which is okay. That's probably the better option. The overhand is just flat out uncomfortable for the wrists. So I thought, why don't I just do neutral grip? Because that's kind of what I'm trying to get to when I'm deadlifting anyway. I'm double overhand grip with straps. And what I'm trying to do is bend the bar around my body. So I'm trying to kind of get into that neutral grip. That's kind of that whole external rotation of kind of the shoulders. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to internally rotate. I'm trying to lock down with my lats. So I just went, let's just do that. Let's do neutral grip pull-ups. I ended up doing 5 sets of 10. And I know for a fact I'm going to be sore tomorrow from this. I've not done something like this for a very long time now. But it got me thinking maybe I should incorporate this at least to some sort of capacity while I'm doing deadlifting. That's something that's kind of in my mind right now. I don't know. One thing that I've kind of learned, and it's from you guys telling me this, that the breaking of the floor, the breaking of the floor, originally I thought it was all about quads. I need more quads. But in fact, what it turns out to be, and you guys recommended this and pointed me in the right direction, what it's actually also an indicator of potentially is that you could be weak in the upper back. And your upper back is basically ungluing itself when you're putting force into that bar, and then you are automatically kind of rolling your shoulders forward, therefore elongating the lever, and then that kind of has multiplication, type of effect on the force required. So the whole thing is to kind of lower your shoulders, depress those shoulders as much as possible. And this is where my thinking is pull-ups are better than rows for deadlifts, because pull-ups are more kind of depression of the scapula, depression of the shoulders, whereas rows is more kind of like retraction. And we are deadlifting, we're not trying to retract, we're trying to depress. We're trying to lower that lever length. Now, I know for a fact that lots of people are going to say, no way, Van, barbell rows are the shit, T-bar rows are the shit. And obviously, that's also a really good movement, because it's kind of mimicking what you're trying to do as well. When it comes to the upper arm, you are flexing the arm. So you're going, is it flexing? Yeah, so you're bringing your elbow down to your side. I think with the pull-up, there's more range of motion of that, so maybe it's more effective on the lats. This is a debate that's kind of been had many, many times over, many different people. I think I'm going to go with pull-ups because I think pull-ups are way cheaper. And, cheapness is a very big deal for me when it comes to recovery points, because I do a lot of squats every day and I do deadlifts every other day. So I need to look at these secondary and tertiary exercises. I need to think about the cost of them. Barbell rows, especially if you're doing them for like 5 sets of 5 or something like heavy like that, even sets of 10, it's heavy on your core. It's much more than just upper back. It's lower back, it's your core. Lots of things are happening there. So this is why I think pull-ups, it's a calisthenic movement. So you are kind of like, there's no spinal load and all that. So I think in my kind of setup, I think pull-ups are better. Now, if you are not squatting and deadlifting as frequently as I am, maybe barbell rows have a place. Maybe you kind of like, if I'm remembering correctly, starting strength, it has you interchange from session to session between deadlifts and barbell rows. So even Mark Ripperto recognizes those two movements are both very taxing, and you can't really do both in the same session, or at least to the same effect. So that's what I did today. Basically, that was the plan today. Do a whole bunch of pull-ups, do a whole bunch of good mornings, and then basically call it a session there. And that's what I did. When you can't deadlift to your full capacity, when you can't squat to your full capacity, this is where, all the other stuff comes into effect. Maybe some machine work would be great if I was at the gym. Maybe some of these accessory movements have a place because you're not ready to move your whole body as a whole explosively and athletically. So maybe that's something I should do moving forward. Have like this secondary movement, which I'm completely falling in love with, the good mornings. And then maybe for the upper body, I can have something like pull-ups. Now, if you guys haven't heard this from me before, but pull-ups, chin-ups, like that is probably the most fundamental movement to my body. I've always kind of had this, how should I say it, tendency to grow my upper back much quicker than any other body part. Not that I was a bodybuilder, freaking massive back. It's not like that. I'm a skinny guy. I've always kind of been a skinny guy, but that's one area of my body that's always kind of had the capacity to grow. Not so much the thickness of it, but the width. I've always kind of had, some mind-muscle connection, I guess, with my back. I could always kind of grow it. And that's because, like I said in the past, I spent a lot of time doing pull-ups and chin-ups in parks and whatever. It's just accessible. You don't need any equipment. You can just jump up and do pull-ups on freaking monkey bars. So I think, I've always loved to do it. It's just in my thinking, in my philosophy, trying to work out a plan, deadlifting frequency has basically taken away this idea of high frequency with pull-ups. But the good thing about pull-ups is they're quite cheap. They're quite cheap. There's no spinal loading. There's no, it's still a compound lift, but it's not as taxing. And, if you look at, the people that have some of the best backs, it's kind of hard to say in the natural world, at least. I mean, I don't really know 100%, but the calisthenics community definitely, all they really do is pull-ups, right? It's all bar work, bar stars. A YouTube channel that I used to watch back in the day, and I still watch time to time. All of those boys, they're like normal-looking dudes. They've spent a lot of time doing pull-ups, and they look aesthetically awesome. And that's just from doing every which way type of pull-up. And you develop a physique, better than any other exercise, I feel, in terms of aesthetics. I don't think push-ups get you the same type of goodness. We all kind of want that V-taper. So a big back is basically one way of you kind of improving your physique. One thing that I've always kind of wondered, though, was, man, I'd love to have, it's hard. It's hard to, my mind kind of wonders, if I was to take one of these dudes who can do like maybe an advanced calisthenic athlete who's got this amazing, well-developed back, I would love to test them on just a one-rep kind of deadlift scenario. Because I want to know somebody that doesn't really train legs all that much. And if we're fair, I don't think calisthenics exercises, I don't think these guys have powerful legs. They might have, I guess, fit legs because they might be running or whatever, but I don't think these guys are training for a big squat or for a big deadlift. Like, none of those movements will lend you, to move your body in those positions with power. When I think about calisthenics, I just think upper body. And basically, lower body mass is a detriment to your performance in calisthenics. It's kind of like Olympics, those boys, the rings, and a lot of those guys, they might have strong legs, but they don't have powerlifting, bodybuilding legs, right? But I would love to see if they had a good deadlift. For a beginner deadlifter, I would love to see whether a calisthenic athlete has some sort of meaningful deadlift number because of the upper back development. That's one idea that kind of runs through my mind, because I'm like, at least their off the floor power should be good in the sense of a strong upper back, because their shoulders will never peel away or roll over, because the upper back can just be concreted down, bolted down into the freaking hips almost, and then they can pull. And then the limitation for them will be obviously the erectors and glutes, adductors, hamstrings, all that stuff, quads. That's where the weakness will be. But I just wonder whether they will have a strong deadlift maybe to the knee, and then the hip extension component will just fail them. It's just a thought experiment. I would love to, have somebody like that. I don't know whether you guys have seen videos like that. I actually try to look at something like that online. I couldn't really find anyone doing a video like that, or maybe like a calisthenics guy just being exposed to the deadlift for the first time. But that's one thing that I could be doing, solidifying my upper back, and maybe that will improve my off the floor pull, because I have this feeling right now, and I've had it for a very long time, is that if I can get that bar to the knees, I just lock it out. I just know 100%. So the higher the bar goes, the more confident I am. It's that initial 5 centimeters that I struggle with the most. And I've proven to myself it's not about quads. It's not about quads. It's more so the upper body tension. This is why part of my ritual when I'm doing deadlifts, I raise my shoulders all the way to my ears, and I clamp down on those lats. So I have this mind-muscle connection. I have this tactile feeling of what my lats are doing, and then I can feel them if they are letting go, and I can kind of put more tension into them. It just kind of helps me put the lats on the map. And ever since I've started doing that, I've felt better and stronger, which kind of now makes me a little bit excited about doing these neutral grip pull-ups. Maybe I should just mix it up, do all sorts of pull-ups, and just add more strength to that scapular depression. And I'm thinking about this whole thing about, okay, specificity is the key. What would be the best thing in terms of specificity for the deadlift? And I think, I don't know what it's called. Is it the planche? It's not the planche, it's the front lever. I think it's called the front lever. It's that move where the calisthenics guys are hanging off the bar, and they have straight arms locked out, and they just raise their body. So their body is kind of like horizontal with the ground, but they're holding onto the bar. So it's like pure lats. I think it's pure lats. I don't even know freaking which muscles these guys are using. Probably a little core as well. But the act of like bringing that bar down, which means bringing your body up, is probably the most kind of specific movement that you can do calisthenics, although that is a very advanced movement. So I guess you could do like a straight arm lat pull down. I don't know. I've been down this path before thinking about this, and I've tried to do something like that standing, but you end up just picking yourself up off the ground, and you can't kind of stabilize yourself unless you kind of actually sit in the lat pull down machine and grab the bar above you, so you're kind of locked in, and then you kind of bring it down at a straight pull down. Maybe that's something I should be doing. But I think for now, while I'm at home for the next sort of 3-4 days that I'm kind of locked away here, just do pull-ups every other day and see how that kind of goes. Because once again, I'm not in a position to any heavy work with the squat or deadlift, which is a shame, but it is what it is. So I think these moments are just do accessories. You know, if you can't move heavy ass weight, you can do some pull-ups. You can do some good mornings. That's 40 kilo good morning and 5 sets of 8 with the pull-ups, which is, it's not a big problem. Got a few more names to mention in this video. Eric Miller and Sebastian. Fellas, man, I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys for doing this. It really means a lot to me to have guys like you pop up. Seems like every day now, of guys who are kind of like coming to my corner to support me on this journey. It's an incredible feeling. And, you know, we're filling out the 4th page now of names, and it's still hard for me to believe that this is actually happening. So I thank you guys, and I thank everyone else in the Patreon list. Thank you to everyone that's in the comments, giving me all these good ideas, brainstorming with me. It's all very much appreciated, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.